Hey Mo.
Hi, Douglas. Yeah. So I've made you the host for now. Can you please make me the co-host so that I can control?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And also, can you please
Hold on
go
one
to the
sec.
Facebook Live? Yeah.
Okay. And I'll do the Facebook Live, and then you want to maybe just do me a favor and post the link to join inside of the like the Zoom link. You can put that in the community if anyone wants to catch it inside the Zoom.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
Or
And then I'll inside a
here's the
TGC
link.
community. And then what
Yeah.
I'll do is I'll go live on Ream right now.
Okay.
So all right. Welcome everybody. It's Thursday afternoon, 12 p.m. Eastern time here. Douglas J. Beck in the room with you. Hopefully you're catching this live. If you are, do me a favor and comment below where you're tuning in from on Facebook. We've also got our Zoom room set up here for any of our Growth Collective members. If you don't know what the Growth Collective is, check out jointhegrowthcollective.com. Jointhegrowthcollective.com is your gateway to find out more about the Growth Collective and how we can serve you from a coaching and mastermind capacity in a deeper way. We layer in one-on-one support, unlimited one-on-one support. And in fact, we layer in group sessions like this one, but where you can interact and ask questions and get answers, right? Because you can ask questions but get no answers. That's no good. But we can also layer in the hot seat discussion, which is where you can bring a deal and have it reviewed live with myself or one of the other coaches in the group. And we bring a lot more besides all that. Ultimately, we do have performance-based outcomes. In other words, if you don't get to a certain level of a certain performance as far as closing a deal or multiplying your investment over a period of time, depending upon which actual option you go with, we'll continue to work with you for free until you do. And so that's a pretty powerful risk reversal for you if you're listening in. You're like, well, I want to get into something, but I don't want to keep on dropping, all this money and education and coaching and mentorship, all this other stuff. I want somebody that's going to, and some group here in this case, that will get you to an outcome that you desire. So today, well, we do that first off. So again, join thegrowthcollective.com, join thegrowthcollective.com. Today, we're going to be talking about partnerships and what I call the PPP model, not to be confused with the loan stuff that happened during COVID. But I'm going to be talking today about the power of partnering to profit passively. All right. So it's a lot of letter P words here. Okay. If my younger kids were here with me, they'd probably laugh all the P words, right? Because they get, oh, it sounds like, what are you talking about? P, like what daddy's being silly? No, we're talking about, business terms here. Okay. The PPP model. Okay. If we're going to be talking about that, I don't have a presentation for today. I might develop something in the future, but in the meantime, what I'd like to ask is, again, for you to participate with this conversation to make it most profitable for you, right? Literally profitable today. I ask for your interaction in the form of commenting on this video in the stream that you're hearing it, wherever you're hearing it. If you're live with us, it'll be on the Facebook group. You can put in your comments beneath, the video right there. If you're inside of Zoom, you can obviously use the chat on Zoom. I see a couple of Growth Collective members coming into the room here, so that's exciting. But let's kind of take a step back so you guys have an idea. Rewind about a decade ago, right? Rewind about a decade ago and think of where you were. Do me a favor, actually. If you could put a comment, do you remember where you were physically, what city and state or country you were in around this time 10 years ago? Do you remember what you were doing, where you were working, who you were around, what your family life looked like about a decade ago? I'm curious. If you want to share something about that inside of the comments, go ahead and do that. That'd be a cool reminder to see kind of what it looked like 10 years ago for you. for me, 10 years ago, I was working a corporate 9 to 5, more like a 8 to 6 or maybe a 7 to 7, depending upon what day of the week it was. And really in my mind, it was a 24/7, kind of thing because I'm thinking about work, I'm thinking about my team, I'm thinking about the company, I'm thinking about all these different things, these projects, these deliverables. And it was a great experience overall for me to get that, ability to go into corporate America right out of college into a large company. Johnson & Johnson's where I worked for almost a decade, actually. But I was on my way out essentially of Johnson & Johnson around this time 10 years ago. And what happened was in 2011, I started really getting focused on my entrepreneurial journey. We're talking about what, 13 years ago. I started really making some decisions to start things on the side with using my skill sets. And we're going to talk about skill sets today. We're going to talk about the strategy on taking an assessment of where you are and being honest with yourself so that you could properly source and find the right partners, okay, based on what you have and what you need. We're going to talk about that specifically. But essentially, coming out of college, here I was trained, if you would, and skillful on IT, information technology, and business. And I had, gotten an education from a Division I, college up in New Jersey called Rider. I graduated magna cum laude. I'm just only saying that so like I actually, kind of took it serious. I did pretty well with it. I went into college, worked at a corporate, position in a large company. So by most people's standards, thank God, I had the blessing to be able to do well with my career to start off my career. But what I was missing, which I bet many of you listening to this might feel like this. I know clients I've worked with feel like this. You're missing that fulfillment of what life really has to offer to you and for you. And so we just talked about this a little bit yesterday in our evening session with the Growth Collective. Again, join the growthcollective.com. You're going to learn more about the Growth Collective and how it could add value to you and your business and your life. But we talked about this concept where, we could have all this kind of success and all this busyness and all this work to do, but if we're not feeling fulfilled, that's a challenge, right? So a lot of times we don't feel fulfillment, everybody, right? When we're doing things that maybe are not aligned with the vision for the life we're looking to create. And so a lot of times I found myself when I was working in corporate, like looking to now and looking back instead of looking forward. So I'm saying like, what do I have to do right now? And what have I already done? And what do I have to do right now? But I was less focused on the vision. And what does it say is that if there's no vision, people will perish, right? That's what the good book says. And so we know that that wasn't the right mindset. My vision was focused more so on my corporate career and my growth in the company. I mean, rightfully so, because you get out of college, you get a quote unquote good job, making decent, good quote unquote money, and with benefits and all that stuff, and all those things that are exciting. If you wonder, am I going to be able to get out to work? I know a lot of people, unfortunately, don't have that opportunity right into college. But here I was now at that point, 13 years ago, 2011, when I made this decision to focus on my entrepreneurial journey, I said, man, I've been working here for what at that time it was since 2007. So it was 4 or 5 years of time invested, right? 4 to 5 years of focus and energy invested and hours upon hours upon hours and a lot of great experience, but I wasn't fully satisfied, right? So who's with me? If you guys feel the same, if you ever worked somewhere, you ever did something, if you ever had a business even, but you weren't feeling fully satisfied, just be honest with yourself. I mean, you don't have to tell me in chat, you could, but just know that, right? If you want to talk about this one to one, let me know. We could talk about this. Well, there's a point to this, right? Because having that sort of burning desire, as Napoleon Hill talks about, of thinking we're rich, where I knew that there was something more that I was called to do and serve in a certain way in my life, and getting exposed to personal development also at the same time because of a business venture I was investing into. It's my time. Reading my first couple of John Maxwell books, right? John C. Maxwell's written like 70 plus books. He's an awesome pastor and he's an awesome leader. And he talks about leadership development and he writes books about it. So the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership was the first one that I read. The 5 levels of leadership, right? I think it's the 15 laws of growth, like all these different books that I read. And I was excited about reading because I'm saying, man, this is the kind of stuff that is getting me really to focus on the future version of myself and not be so consumed with who I am right now, what I'm looking to do today. I mean, that's important. Stay in the present, yes. But for the creation of my future and the strategy for the vision I have in my life, I got to think bigger. That's what I'm saying to myself. And that's what we need to be saying to ourselves when we're looking for transition. And so here I am, 2011, working full time, quote unquote, making good money, all that stuff, but making the decision to get into some other ventures. And after a couple of years of pouring myself into those things, wasn't really successful from a dollars and cents standard. But man, I created a network of people. I had a lot of growth in my personal development, and I understood what it was like to do business outside of a corporate career, but by seeing other people do it a certain way and by emulating their behavior and understanding how they do what they do, how they do sales, how they do marketing, how they create connections and collaborate and create partnerships and create teams, right? These concepts. I want you all to think for a second, get your pen and paper and write down some stuff here. You know, who am I already working with? Not who am I working for? Am I working with anybody right now? What I mean by that is, who are you collaborating with? Is there anybody in your business or in your life besides your family and besides your employer that you're currently working with? See, the word with is super important because it suggests that there's a trade between both parties. It's not for where it's a unilateral, I'm doing this for you. It's not for me, but it's for you. That's unilateral to the party that's receiving the benefit. How about the word with? We do this together, right? And so when we talk about the partnership concept, we talk about the power of this partnership, the PPP model, partnership to profit passively. Okay. It's not just a real estate concept, right? Because here's why. I want you all to just make this, relevant for you today. Take a moment to write down the answer to the following questions. Like, you got to get a pen and paper to make this work, right? I'm not monitoring the comments, so if my team or somebody could let me know if anybody's on Facebook hearing this, give us some love. That's awesome. Make a comment or two. Tell us where you're based out of. Tell us what you're getting value. If you have questions, by all means, contribute to the Facebook feed. I see Ginger joined the room. What's up, Ginger? How you doing? And also Wendy. Appreciate you guys being here. So write this down though. I asked this question last night, but I'm gonna ask it again because I know the audience here is different, but it's another set of people I want to serve here. What are you really good at? What are you excellent at? What do you enjoy as well? However you want to answer those questions. What am I really good at or excellent at? And what do I enjoy? You can think of that as a same question if there's alignment. But if there's not alignment, in other words, I'm really good at doing something, but I'm not really excited about doing it, then just make sure you distinguish that and delineate that. Okay, so what am I really do? What do I do really well? What am I excellent at? And what do I enjoy doing? So the thing is, as you're thinking through that, and just focus on writing down your answers, but hear me out on this when you're doing this. If you notice yourself writing things that are different on both of those questions, like I am really good at technology, but I don't enjoy working in technology. Example with me. It wasn't something I was excited about. I'm not the guy to sit there and code. I could do it. I know how to do it. I'm expert at certain things with code. I could lead technical teams and project manage and all that kind of stuff, but I don't really enjoy it though. Well, then I say, why? The key word is, why do I pick something on your list that you don't enjoy? Think of something you don't enjoy doing. I know it's weird because usually we look at like what we want to do, what we excited about, all those things. That's really good too. But let's go the opposite direction. What don't I enjoy doing? And then I want you to ask yourself, why don't I enjoy doing it? So here's an example as you're thinking through that. Over the years, I've come to not enjoy anything to do with construction on property, for example. I don't enjoy construction. It doesn't get me excited. It doesn't make me like smile or be happy. I've dealt with too many challenges with construction as a business owner in real estate and investing in real estate that it's burnt me out from the perspective of dealing with construction challenges. So what have I done? I've found, subtle point here, other people to help alleviate that issue, to help manage that issue, manage that process. We'll get to that today, but make sure you write down, what don't I enjoy and why? I don't enjoy construction because I realized that, number one, I'm not as good as I thought I was when I first got started in construction management with the properties we had. I faced challenges that I wasn't anticipating. I wasn't prepared enough. I didn't have someone pushing me to understand construction specifically in the way that was necessary. And number two, it's just a lot of work and it takes me away from things that I love to do, which is not dealing with construction. Okay. Like, I don't enjoy that. So it takes me away from the things I do enjoy, like, creating stuff and like visualizing and creating a vision for things, like seeing a plan come to fruition, like starting to solve problems, but in a way that is leading others to help solve those problems and working with people, not working for, and these kinds of concepts, and being with my family and being with the people I love and care about that love and care about me. Construction in my life and the business life didn't fit into that mix. So maybe for you, it might be whatever you do today for work. Maybe you just want to be honest with yourself and say, well, I signed up for this, a year ago, 5 years ago, a decade, 2 decades, my whole life I've been doing this thing, but it's just not fulfilling my inner spirit. It doesn't make me feel good to do this anymore. I don't get excited about it. And it's really difficult to say this to yourself. And I actually understand that this is very much a common thread in life, or not just you, if you're in that bucket. Many people face this challenge. And why do they face this challenge? I'm going to give you some reasons as to why we have these sort of conundrums. Like, I've been doing this my whole life, but I really don't enjoy doing it. Why? Because here's why. Here's a couple of reasons why. When you do something long enough, you ever heard people say it becomes like second nature? You could do it in your sleep. You could do it with your eyes closed. You become really good at it. So the brain says when you're good at doing something that it's simple or easy to do, so you should just keep doing it because it's what you've been designed to do intellectually. Intellectually, our brain says we could do this. We could grow this business in real estate all by ourselves if that's something that you've done or you can do, and you probably can do it by yourself. But the question is, will it be as exciting? Will you feel fulfilled by yourself? And most people don't want to be by themselves in life. They don't want to be isolated, right? They want to have some type of relationship or community around them. Hence why you're sitting in this room listening to this live or on the replay. You're part of a community, which I'm honored to serve you. And I look forward to having you listen because it makes me feel fulfilled when there's people that need this help that I can serve. Because it's not about me, it's about all the people that have invested into me and my companies in different ways that have helped me get here for you. And I just look for you to do the same and bless others in whatever way you can. But see, the thing is, when you're working for somebody else, or you're working with somebody else, or with some other business that has a lot to do with your skill sets of things you've been doing for days, or not days, years, right? Decades, essentially. Probably not days. That was kind of funny. I'm thinking like it's going to be something you've been doing for a long time. When you're dealing with that, you get in this conundrum. We get in this conundrum where it's like, well, I just got to keep doing it because I've been doing it for so long. It's difficult to transition out of it. I had a conversation with one of my one-on-one clients recently, and essentially it's the one person, it's a team basically, right? A couple people that work together. And the one person is going through sort of a life transition because of commitments that were made from decades long of experience in a specific area. And the decades of time invested and the expertise that's been happening over those decades and the things that this person's grown in becoming a subject matter expert, which we're going to talk about today, has allowed this person to believe, and it's true, that they are one of the best at what they do in that particular thing. However, they also don't feel fulfilled by that thing anymore because they know it's taken them away from the time with their family. It's putting them in a position where they have to work undue hours and unreal times that are not conducive to that person's health situation, that person's family situation. And so we talked about this a little bit and we said, well, what's a way that we could alleviate that thing that's holding you back that you've been doing for like decades and you're really an awesome person, expert at it. You can do it with in your sleep, literally, but it's not serving you anymore. And they have this desire to make real estate part of the solution, real estate investing, the two of these folks. So we said, well, let's take inventory. So key thing I want you to write down is I want you to take inventory right now of, again, remind yourself, what are you really good at? And what do you enjoy? And I'd like you to match up something, hopefully in your list, something, one, two, or three things at least that you're actually enjoying to do, that you could do if you enjoy it, and you're also decently, competent at. It's not to be like, well, I could,
Your sound is gone, Doug.
Still can't hear you.
Thanks for letting me know. It's going to get reconnected. Just a moment. Try to get this microphone working right. I don't know what's going
It's
on.
good. It's good. We can hear you.
You can hear me, but it's a little
Yes.
fuzzy, or you're okay? Is that
No,
is that
that's
good?
fine. That's good.
Oh, perfect. All right, even better. I'll leave the microphone situation to go for later. All right, so when did you hear me last? I'm trying to remember where we left off here. What was the last thing you kind of heard, you can recall? So
Take inventory.
take inventory. Thank you, Ginger. Okay. So taking inventory, what does this look like? It's asking yourself some questions like we started talking about today. Hey, what am I really good at, or what could I get really good at pretty fast? And if I actually enjoy that concept of doing that kind of work. So I was saying, for me, I enjoy networking. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy connecting with people. And I think I'm pretty good at it, but I also enjoy it, right? I mean, I can get better at it. I can always work on that growth journey in my life, getting to be a better networker, a better connector, a better relationship-driven individual. But I enjoy that. I enjoy working with others. I enjoy seeing people in a certain situation and helping them figure out how to make it even better. That's just part of the nature of who I am, what I've been able to do. Maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you're somebody who doesn't, example, enjoy that as much. Maybe you're somebody sitting here listening and say, like, I want to do it kind of like without other people around me. Okay, that's a little tricky. We'll get to that, but I would say flip it around and say, what do I actually enjoy about the concept of working with others if I can make sense of something? Because if you can't make sense of working with others, I had to break it to you, your growth journey is going to go a lot slower. Your growth journey will go a lot slower if you cannot make sense of working with others. So that's like something we had to work on if you're feeling like that's you right now. Again, I'm just being real with you. Listen to me if that's you. Now, if you're somewhere in the middle, that's fine too. You're like, well, I don't really mind talking to other people, working with people, but I'm not like super excited about it and it doesn't really make me feel that great. Then pick something else that gets you kind of excited. Maybe it's, I enjoy working on my computer. I enjoy doing numbers. I'm an analytical person, right? I want to look at numbers on my screen. So that's fine. Then if that's something you enjoy doing, the question is, are you really good at it? Do you understand it? And if in real estate terms you don't, then the question is, how do you get better at that? Well, that's something that we coach on, honestly. So jointhegrowthcollective.com has some of the solution, but you got to do your own work too. You got to research, you got to study, you got to read books and listen to audios. Like that's to get really good at that, but you might enjoy it. I think you guys understand the point here, but take an inventory, just be honest with yourself of where you are strong and where you are weak. And the bottom line is, what I want you all to think about is, what do you have to offer? What do I have to offer? Okay. Let's get into real estate terms for a second to make this a little bit more relevant, okay? In real estate, there's a few buckets of things that one business owner or one investor could have in a real estate transaction. There's a few different things you could have. I could have the opportunity to buy the deal. The property is available to me to purchase. I have the deal, I'll call that. I could also have, or I may only have capital, right? I may have capital. My own capital is one type of capital, or I may have access to other people's capital. We'll get into some of this. I may also have experience in investing. I may have experience in construction, experience as an agent, experience in owning rental properties, experience in business, right? These are things you could have. I have experience. And check it out. I also could have, notwithstanding before that, all those things I just said, you might also have some time outside of experience, outside of the deal, outside of the capital, all that. I might just have time. And in that time, I might be willing to invest that time because time is very valuable. Time is finite. Money is actually infinite. If you look at the way the world works, it's something that's very interesting. It's a paradox that most people don't fully understand and comprehend, but it's not a secret that the bank account of the time we have is depleting every day. And we can invest into that in a way by making our life be focused on and making an intentionality focused on the best ways to experience every util of time that we have available to us. Money, on the other hand, money, people say it can't buy happiness, or like someone says it could buy you nice things that create happiness, but that's not what I'm suggesting. But money can be a means to an end, right? And the end, as in the exciting end, would be like, hey, I use money to create a profitable deal that then creates a profit in my bank account that I can then invest into a life experience that creates profit in my spirit. So these are just connections that we have to make. But go back to, what do I have? A deal, capital, right? I have maybe experience? How about, do I have a specific kind of experience? Like when we look at fix and flips, do I have construction experience or am I a contractor? Do I have a team of contractors that are around me? Right? If the answer to these questions is no, 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 I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. Okay. I'll say it's not impossible, but it's gonna be a lot more challenging if you don't have any of those buckets or don't have the capacity to produce those buckets. So example would be, and this is not anybody here, but I'm telling you, I've had conversations with people that are like, I want to make $100,000 in the next 12 months in real estate investing. I have no money to invest. I have no time to invest. I'm not interested in learning or participating, and I don't want to pay for anything. All right, you know what? I probably can't help you out there. With all due respect, I probably cannot. Because I don't want to set an unrealistic expectation that you think it's that person is hypothetically thinking that it's possible to create $100,000 of new income with no resources of money, time, experience, or anything like that. There's gonna be a trade. So I want you all to write this word down. The word is trade. Trade, okay? And my buddy Tim and Victor and other people from the exchange group, if you're listening to this, you guys have inspired me. And I'm looking forward to having you guys hopefully bring some more light to this concept of trading. Right? So trading, well, trading in property terms, a lot of times there's this 1031 exchange concept where people can find a way to trade property without having tax implications. That's a specific kind of trade. But the kind of trade I'm talking about today is a general concept of trading. I will give you this if you give this back. Now, we're talking about partnership today. And what I just explained is some people call it a quid pro quo. You know, it's a trade. It's sort of like, if you do this, I'll do that. It might be uncomfortable for you, and you don't necessarily say it this way, but you got to go into this conversation knowing what do you have to contribute to the trade and what is your expectation to receive from that trade. Let me give you examples again. Let's say we have somebody in the room that has some time, has some experience in a real estate capacity, but maybe not as an investor, maybe you're an agent or a mortgage professional. And you have a little bit of time, but you can make more time by trading what? By trading away from things that are leisurely, things that don't support your growth and business and in life. Maybe things like sitting on the couch watching TV. Some of us do that from time to time. It's no big deal. I'm not saying to be like, you know, just never watching a TV show. I'm not saying like that dramatic. Just like, hey, let's put that in check. How many hours a day, week, a month do you invest doing stuff like that? Hey, maybe you like to play golf. Maybe golf's part of your life. But if you do golf in a certain capacity, it becomes destructive because it might take you away from other things that matter more. I don't know. Or maybe you like to go out and be social. Well, how much are you socializing versus going to make things happen in your business life? There got to be a trade, but let's say you're somebody who's got a little bit of time, or at least willingness to invest the time, and also has some type of relevant experience, and you have zero capital, like zero, or you don't have much, and you don't have a deal yet. Well, what does that person, how can that person benefit from the PPP model, right? The ability to profit through partnerships passively. Think about this. Think about those words. Profit is the goal if we're in business. Number one goal is to profit in business. If you're not profitable, your business is not on the right track. You got to fix some things. Right? We've been there. I've had profit challenges with projects. I've had profit challenges in certain businesses over the years. It's a challenge. You got to go through it, but you got to make decisions that are difficult to make and make an investment of your time again and refocus things. But partnership is a word that we think of and we sometimes get nervous about. At least I know I've gotten nervous over the years because I've had not such good partnerships and I've also had some really awesome partnerships. And so the concept though is that if the goal, the outcome is profit, and the means is by getting into a partnership, then the question is, what do I have to offer to this potential partnership? And what do I need? So it's have this to offer, need this in exchange. So I'm going to ask you guys one more time. If I want you to comment in Zoom, if you can, please, so I can keep rolling here, but comment the answer to my question and comment on Facebook. If I have time and I'm a real estate agent, which I'm not, but let's say I was, right? Like I'm you talking for you. If you're a real estate agent with some time and interest in real estate investing, what do you think I need based on the other things I said before? What do I still need that are valuable to me to become a real estate investor? If I have time and some relevant experience, what are one or two of the things that I still need? remember, we're trying to buy a property, but we need money to buy the property, right, Ginger? Yes, I need capital. And then obviously the last piece, which I'm not looking at Facebook, and I think you guys both noticed, you need the property, you need the deal. Okay? So let's use this as an example. Let's use this real life scenario, because I have a lot of folks that have come to me as real estate agents, in fact, that want to become investors. And I've even thought about kind of like focusing that, but I feel like it's not fair to the people that are not agents, because you don't have to be an agent to be an investor. But I do work a lot with agents. I've worked with dozens of agents over the years, helping them grow their agent side of their business, as well as investing in the real estate. I've also worked with mortgage professionals. I've worked with construction professionals. I've worked with entrepreneurs. I've worked with regular people that just want to start a business in real estate. So I've had the ability and blessing to be able to do that. But here's what I know. As a real estate agent, or someone that was a real estate agent, what do agents do for their clients? Agents find properties to buy. Agents find properties to sell. So if I'm an agent, I'm naturally keen on sourcing, potentially. If I'm a sourcing focused individual, like I'm sourcing, I'm trying to find stuff. So maybe your time and your definition of how you invest that into a partnership is, hey, I have time and I'm a real estate agent, so I can help you, Mr. or Mrs. Investor who has capital, source deals. Would that be valuable to you? I mean, that's not exactly what you're going to say, but I'm giving you the framework of this, and you get the answer is going to be yes. Most people, if anyone who's actually investing in real estate, they're going to say, send me the deals. I'll take a look at them. Right? I'm interested. I'm open. Tell me about it. Now, what does that do though? Well, that marries up. Marry as in like, I think it's spelled the same as M-A-R-R-Y, like marrying in the church or marrying, people together. Partnership is a marriage. I mean, partnership is basically a business marriage. And when you go into business, it's like the definition of what I'm describing is like, hey, I'll lock arms in business or in a particular project or a particular type of project. And this person, as in the person that has the time and has the experience as an agent, has the interest and ability to source deals. And so they can invest their time. You can invest, that's you, your time to source deals. And then you go and you say, well, who can I bring these to? Well, naturally, you don't really want to bring them to people just like you. Here's a very, very simple but very powerful shift of focus. Okay. If you're a deal sourcer or provider, okay, if you like to wholesale or you like to be an agent that brings deals that are off market, on market, whatever, it's not in your best interest to talk to other people that do that right now if you're looking to close a deal. If you're looking to close a deal like right away and want to do this semi-passively, because this is not passive yet. I'm going to tell you how to make it passive, fully passive in a little bit. But if you're in that bucket, you need to find the people that have what you need. You need to find the people that have the capital to buy the properties that you can source. You need to find the people that have the experience of investing in real estate that can buy and tell you why the deal does or doesn't make sense based upon their experience as a real estate investor. So I'm blessed to say that we've done more than a couple hundred transactions at this point, and about 51, I think, fix and flips and a number of rental properties. And I've been in the private lending space. So just based on my resume, quote unquote, my track record, I have a lot of experience. So I can be this, and my companies can be this for you if you like or have the interest in getting into sourcing deals. We've bought and sold a lot of real estate. We have capacity, we have capital available through our funding partners and all kinds of stuff. And so maybe that's you. Maybe that's a reason we should connect. So if you're listening to me somewhere on Facebook or somewhere else, you can send me a message. Say, hey, I like to source deals. I'm an agent, I'm an investor, I'm a wholesaler, but I don't have the capital right now and I don't have the experience, but I know you guys do. Can we collaborate? And the answer is probably. Okay, I'm going to give you a head start, but I don't want you to be distracted. Okay, and I see a comment there. I'll come right to that in a second. If you guys want to take down a website that you can save for later, or if you want to fill it out now or whatever, you can go to the website partner.jdlventures.com. Partner.jdlventures.com has a short little video about, me talking about my background, our company's background, and also has some specific things, which in fact, for us, right, what we have is we have experience, we have a large network, we have capital and capital resources, but we are growing our capital base almost all the time for various reasons, right? Because we're trying to keep up with the demand of property volume and also the opportunities that are presented. And so we have a strong focus on capital when we come to partnership, what we need. We have capital, we need more capital to do what we want to do and grow the way we want to grow. So if you're a capital person in the room listening to this and you want to invest passively, then that's a great website to go to. If you're a real estate professional and you're looking to invest in terms of your time, you can still go to that site, but you're going to know that it has some sort of undertones about capital. That's just because that's a lot of the audience who's seen that site. If you're not sure what to do, just hit me up on a DM. But go ahead, Ginger, you had a question.
Yeah, so basically, I think also is, for instance, right now, I feel like I have a deal. I think it's a deal, and that's my problem. I don't know if it is, or a good deal, should I say that? And I have a partner in doing the deal with, but it's the capital that is the problem. We have a potential loan for it, but we would need a 30% down payment.
Okay.
And then you could potentially find a the JV partner to maybe do that part, another partner to do that part of it. But I guess my problem that I don't understand that is, if you usually that's usually about like a year or so, right? Like usually if somebody, like for a short term type of a loan, is usually somebody coming in with a deposit. Is that correct?
No, there's not, I would say there's not really a usually on that. I mean, every deal is a little different. So what I would like, if you can share openly, if not, then no big deal. But is the deal a rental property, a fix and
The
flip?
deal is a quad rental property that is already rented out. It brings in $8,000 a month. They're asking $825. It's in the a beach area. And it's been on the market for about 235 days. Now, speaking with the realtor, he said, well, I think being in my brain, mine's like, okay, that long, they're asking too much for it. But he's saying it's that long because they want what they want for it, although they just brought it down $50,000 or $25,000.
Right.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of psychology behind that, but I tend to agree that if a property's been on the market for a while, that the property value is probably not what's being offered at. That's just based on data, right? I mean, there's a chance that someone can make a deal out of something that's been listed for a while at the price that it's been listed for. There could be some pocket of knowledge or experience that somebody has that's different and unique to see something that most others can't. So for example, like a development opportunity or repositioning of the property, something that's not as conventional, maybe turn it into like a pad split is a common thing. I'm seeing that now where people are taking a bigger home and turning it into basically a room rental, and splitting it into different rooms to rent out like Airbnb almost, but doing it with pad split. So that's something that's, I would say, more unconventional. But I would, what I would say is let's let me frame this out a little bit so that the rest of the group hears kind of what you have there. So you have, let's say, a potential deal, you have the capital for the loan for the majority of the purchase and whatever renovation, if there is any, I'm not imagining that's what's available to you there. You've also got the capacity to run this project or do this project, it sounds like, or interest and ability to do that, or hire someone to do the actual work if there's any work to be done. Owning it, managing it, all that stuff, I'm assuming is on you or somebody else you bring in. But what I think you're needing, right, is the capital for the down payment, which a lot of people call the gap funds. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And also the true, like my thoughts are like, is this is it worth the deal? I mean, like when I ran my numbers, at first it made sense, and then I ran them again. And then it was just like I'm not going to do a deal like that to make, $200 a month. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the part of it too, is I feel like I need to know, is this worth pursuing? I guess,
Right. Yeah, so me and you could work on that. If you shoot me like whatever analysis, if you don't mind, send it, I'll tell you my
Mhm.
2 cents. Right now, I
Okay.
don't have the capacity at this moment, just because of this meeting, I want to get back into the partnership, but I'll give you the piece of the puzzle that I think you were asking about as far as the partnership structure,
Yes.
my recommendation there. So if you have a fix and flip that is a definitive, like sort of planned sale, like around a certain time, because the project is done, property's been listed to the sell, then you could come up with a very definitive, like, hey, I'm gonna need the capital for this many months, or I need it for a year, I need it for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, whatever. That's fine, but there's still the possibility that that plan may not fully execute to plan, and we've been through this in our business, unfortunately, a couple few times. Where we had to go through an extension or renegotiation to get through a delay in the project. And it's never fun because you don't want to be the one that has deviation, but a lot of times things are out of your hands and you can't control the speed at which construction can get completed all the time. You can't control people getting sick, COVID happening. You can't control the cost of materials going through the roof like they did for a while or changing. You can't control the time it takes to sell a property and the market looks good, but then things change. Mortgage rates, you can't control that. You can't control a lot of things, which is the risk in fix and flip. When it comes to buy and hold or fix and hold, like if you fix up and keep a property, you have a little less risk of uncertainty as far as like the exit, because the exit's usually gonna be either just like rent it out and keep it the way it is, or maybe rent it out and then refinance the loan that you got, or loans, if you had a loan that you got for the acquisition and you had a private investor or lender. On the refinance, your goal would be to refinance and pay off all of that if you're gonna keep it, or you'd have some structure where you'd bring in the capital partner as an actual partner to own that property with you. So example would be like one of the properties we have down here in Florida, we're going through this right now, where we're looking to source same kind of thing, but I think it's a different deal, different numbers, but this is a short/midterm rental for us, and we're looking for a partner to come in to stay in that deal with us for the duration of how long we own it for. It's in Sarasota, but the difference is that the money will be in that deal for as long as we own it, unless the partnership agrees to have the party exit, like they decide they need the capital back. There's gonna be some period of time that they give us a heads up, and then what would happen is we have to replace that capital with either a new investor, which would stay in that property with us, or we'd have to, refinance and pay off that investor or pay off that lender, depending on how it's structured. Less than ideal, right? So really, if you have a rental property, what's called is your time horizon, how long you're gonna own that property is very important, and how long you need that capital partner to be in that deal with you. So it's a little bit nuanced, I would say, but it's very important to have a clear understanding of that up front, because the worst thing you want to see happen, one of the worst things could happen is you go into a deal with somebody that's a gap funding partner, they think it's gonna be a year that you keep the property, own it, and then you end up wanting to keep it for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, forever. And they're like, well, I don't want to own it with you anymore, and there's a misalignment. So that goes into some of the things we're gonna talk about with roles and responsibilities and kind of clear communication for a partnership. But I hope that helps a little bit. I'm gonna get into
Yeah.
some more stuff that I think will give you some more meat and potatoes type as well. So if you wanna just hang tight, and then we can circle back about your specific deal, kind of looking at like the numbers. But thank you for that question. That was really
Okay,
good.
thanks.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, kind of going back to it. So, haves and needs, right? So haves and needs, when we're looking at, maybe we flip this around. Maybe you're somebody listening, you're like, wow, the deal that Ginger just said, the thing that Doug's talking about, that's kind of interest. Maybe I'm sitting here as a guest or attendee, listening to this conversation and saying, I've got some capital sitting around, and it's in a bank account, or it's in a brokerage account, or it's in an IRA, or it's in a 401k, or it's in whatever type of an account, but it's not working the way it can work in real estate. It's not collateralized in the same capacity. It's not producing the kind of return that might be possible in real estate or real estate investing, right? Like, that's a very common thing that people come to us for and say, how can I put capital into something? And depending upon what's going on, we have certain opportunities, but you might have an opportunity also. Listen, maybe you're a party here that has capital and you have an opportunity, but you can't put the two together because you don't know how to. Right? So you might have capital sitting somewhere, and you've also got a property, but you're like, I don't feel comfortable doing this yet by myself. So that's another structure where you might need someone to come in as like an advisor or an experienced partner, because you don't have that experience yet. So I've actually been that for people in the past, where one of my previous clients I was working with one-on-one, who has now actually coached with us, and those of you that know who that is, he's doing amazing outside of just what he's doing with us, but he had come to me with one of his first fix and flip deals, and I came in as an experienced partner. And I also brought a capital relationship, but he already knew that guy too, so we kind of knew him together. We brought that all together into a team and we formed a partnership to do a deal. And for me, what was my responsibility was very limited. I was helping govern that project as best I could. I was helping forge those relationships and get that deal put together. But you might be sitting here right now listening to me and you guys don't have the capital, you don't have the deal, you don't have the experience. But check this out, you don't need any of that. This is where it gets really interesting, right? If you have the next word that I wrote down, which if you don't have this, this is where we got to work on it. And we are living through this now in this group, literally. The next word I wrote down is network. Network. So I want you all to think about this. And if you can comment on the Facebook, roughly the number of people that you have in your network that are real estate something, real estate agents, real estate investors, real estate, mortgage folks or consultants, whatever you want, wholesalers, investors, fix and flip, buy and hold, landlords. Roughly how many is it? I'm wondering, like, is it 5? Is it 20? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 1,000,000? Right? I don't know. Well, you got to be honest with yourself. What does your network look like? Because we've heard the saying, and it's not just a facade or a theory. It's like your network is your net worth with a TH, right? Well, it is if you connect the network to the things and people that need to be connected to it. So if I just have a flat database of people that I'm not communicating with on some level of frequency, if I have a database of people or connections on my phone that don't even know that I'm in the business of real estate or somehow are looking to grow my business in real estate, if I have a database of people that are not the right people for the things I'm looking to do because they're not in real estate, not interested in real estate, don't want to talk about real estate, but yet I keep on telling them about real estate, that's not going to work either. So see, what I need to think about is how do I find and acquire the right people in my network that are interested and want to participate in what I'm doing in real estate with me, not for me, but with me, and how do I show them value? Okay, let me give you a couple of examples. I've been part of teams where I've connected a capital partner with an experienced developer, and I've entered into a project as a passive investor for just connecting the people and forging partnership. Like I have done this, right, in real life. I've been part of a team where I'm on a team of people that are growing a company in an industry that I'm not very involved with, but I brought value of my connections and my relationships to that partnership. And I'm able to profit passively. Because every time one of my connections makes a decision to use that company, I have a paycheck because I brought those connections to that party. I've got other businesses that I'm partners in that I'm not the expert in. And I'm keeping this kind of generic because I don't know, you guys, we can talk about this in private. I'm happy to share all the details, but like it's important for me to know who I'm speaking with and what your goals are. So if you want to do this, just hit me up with a DM or hit me up on Slack if you're part of the Growth Collective. I can tell you more details specifically. But I'm part of a company now. I have a company I'm invested in that essentially is in a space that I'm not an expert in, but my partner's got 30 plus years of experience. And my goal is to bring strategic growth and development on the technical and the process side of things and bring my network. But see, the thing is, I'm pretty clear about what I have and what I need. So let me just give you guys that again, so you can kind of think about your version of this. What we have at our companies is we have specialized experience in real estate investing. We have a team of people that can produce results with marketing, technology, business process management, all these different things, right? Communication, social media, all that stuff. But we need more people that need the things that we have that don't have those things. We need clients, right, that are coaching clients that are looking for us to invest into them. Obviously, they invest into the program, but we invest back into them the time that we know and the experience we have, and all the hundreds of thousands of dollars of things that went well and profited, and all the millions of dollars of things, and that went well as well. It's like there's a lot of value there to get all the money that's been invested into learning it and doing it and failing and also winning at the same time. It's like certain projects succeed, certain ones don't. So would you rather work with somebody who's going to sit here and say everything's always going to work every single time you do it, which is nonsense? Or somebody who literally told my private coaching clients last night all the reasons why real estate is a horrible idea. Okay. So I'm just being real with you guys. Like, you got to understand that there's two sides to the coin and everything. The question is, what am I deciding to focus on? And how does this fit into the bigger picture? So when I look at my network, I say, who is the best at the thing that I wish I knew more about? Like, so who's the best person to talk to for this thing, for like fixing and flipping? Who do I know that's just doing amazing at fixing home? I want to find that person. If I don't have that person, I can go to RIA's, Real Estate Investor Association. I can ask, who's the most active fix and flip investor in this market? Who, if I go on social media, I can say, hey, I'm looking to connect with a fix and flip investor about collaboration or a possible partnership. And people are like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, what are you doing? Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna help them find deals? Are you gonna help them run projects? Are you just gonna be an apprentice? Like, you're gonna learn from, I don't know. You gotta figure that out. We can talk about this. But the networking part, like yesterday, for example, I had a couple of conversations with people that are not really deep relationships in my life yet. They're just kind of surface level. But both of those conversations were about 45 minutes to an hour each. They were both planned for 15 minutes. And both of those relationships could potentially bring value to both them and us in ways that are multiple 6 and 7 figures in my lifetime. I don't think about it right now. So I don't say, how much money can I make today or tomorrow or next week or next month? I say, what's the lifetime value? Ask yourself this question. What's the lifetime value of the relationship in your network that you're focusing on? And if you say that the lifetime value of a specific relationship is less than $10,000, I'm going to be very frank with you that that's probably not the priority right now. If you think that the overall benefit to your business over the course of the next decade or decades is going to be just $10,000 from that one relationship, then you probably you're not looking at the right people. Because that's like one deal on a wholesale flip. That's like a fraction of a fix and flip. That's like maybe 1 year of cash flow on a decent rental property that, you're not buying for too much. That's not a great lifetime value. I want to think about who are the people in my network that can bring hundreds of thousands or millions or tens of millions of dollars in lifetime value to me through what? Through relationships, through building those connections and synergies. Hey, Wendy, I see your hand. Give me just a few minutes. I want to wrap this up here and we'll go open up for questions one more time. So if I'm investing into my connections and my relationships, and I'm saying, how do I prioritize the lifetime value conversation? I look at the top of the list and say, business, I'm in it for profit. It's not because I'm greedy, it's just because that's what business is designed to be, and it's to profit and bless others at the same time, which is a nice synergy. If I can make a business like that, where I can do the right thing and help others, but also profit, that's a beautiful thing. And you guys all can do the same in your business, right? In real estate investing, you're helping people get homes, you're helping people stay in a great apartment, you're helping people get opportunities to buy property. If you're wholesaling or if you're an agent, same thing. It's all about helping others. But if I don't know who I can help and how I can help them, if I don't have a network of people who I can help and how I can help them identify, that is a big issue. Now, I got a couple more points here and we'll open up for final questions. So I need you all to consider, you got to have an open mind though. If you don't have an open mind about this business, about your business, you're going to get stuck doing things the way that you've been doing them for a while. And it's going to be taking potentially bad habits of how you did stuff to get you to where you are today and applying that to a new business. And that's not going to work most of the time. It might get you to step 1, 2, or 3, but it's not going to get you to step 100, 200, 500, 1,000, as in the growth potential of the journey in your business. You've got to keep an open mind. So I've learned this also from the exchange group. So again, shout out to Tim, Victor, and everybody else. It's like, they don't ever say no when someone says a potential deal and say, I'll consider it. I'll take a look at that. I'm interested. I'll take a look. I'll give you some feedback, right? I need you all to consider changing the language that we use when we communicate. Don't say no too soon. It's important not to focus on things that don't matter, but it's important also to be open-minded to take a look at things that might matter. And another strategy I would say is find experts in the respective field of focus or the area you're the weakest in, or a trade, a strategy that you're focusing on, that you're not focused on, but you want to focus on. So for example, I have clients that are wholesalers that want to transition into owning rental properties or doing fix and flips or being passively invested using capital, right? Wholesalers that have had experience and lots of experience. I'm helping them get from being a wholesaler, quote unquote, to being a professional real estate investor or an entrepreneur for that matter. So that might be your story. So I can help you with that, but find the expert in that space. Find the expert that knows and has shown through their track record, through their capacity to provide service and value in that space. And people know them, like that's the guy or the gal to talk to for that thing. Then lastly, I would say is when you're forming a partnership, everybody, you got to be very clear on roles and responsibilities. Like I spoke with a couple of our clients, and I think I brought it up last night as well. Roles and responsibilities is simply, in most businesses, it's going to be like an operating agreement. An operating agreement simply says like party A is doing these 5, 10, 20 different things. Party B is doing these 5, 10, 20 different things. I've had operating agreements and joint venture agreements, which are different. We'll talk about that briefly if we have some time, where our responsibility was like one thing and someone else's was like 10 or 15. But the fact of the value exchange was still significant that we were bringing. Now, I've also had scenarios where we were the 10 or 15 listed things and the other person does one thing. The most common situation there is when someone brings capital. If they're bringing capital to a deal, they do one thing, invest or lend capital. We do everything else. That's that website I told you about before, partner.jdlventures.com. That is the epitome of the PPP model, which is the profit through passive partnership, basically profit passively through partnership, or partnering through passive, partnership. How do I think of it? How you're investing, right? You're investing passively. And passively, I want to tell you, because somebody might be sitting here saying, well, I don't have the capital. I keep on hearing talk about capital. I don't have the capital. You personally don't look at your bank account and say, I have this much money. I need you to understand your network is your net worth. The capital that you have around you. And if you don't have any capital around you, that's another thing you got to work on as an investor. Say, how do I attract my capital partners? How do I take my capital partners into deals with me that I think are great deals? Example, I had a conversation with a person last week. He said something like, he had this opportunity to buy into a commercial real estate deal and bring like whatever amount of money, a couple $100,000, whatever it was, to this particular deal. He had a ability to own a piece of that deal for a couple $100,000, whatever it was. But instead of him using his own IRA money, this guy, what he said is he had found some friends that had capital that wanted to invest with him. And he said, look, I'll give you a percentage of my shares for you coming into my deal with me. Instead of me getting, let's say he's getting 20% or whatever it was, he might give them 5% or 15%. He might, he keeps 15, he gives 5, or he may give them, let's say 7% or 8%, whatever that number is. He's not giving away the whole thing, though. He's keeping some of it for him, depending upon what he can negotiate. So now the question is, what does that mean for you? Remember my story I told you, I jumped into deals by having a relationship that had capital. In one case, the amount of capital for this one project was close to $1 million. And the partner that came into that deal was a developer. And I more or less rigged the conversation, created a conference call, introduction, with some basic paperwork, letting everybody know that, look, if there's a deal that consummates on this particular transaction, I'm looking to be a part of the team because I'm bringing together the parties. I'm coordinating this to get everybody together so we can all do business together. And that's a very difficult thing to do sometimes because we get nervous. We wonder, will someone do the right thing or the wrong thing? And unfortunately, a lot of people will not do the right thing. They'll try to cut you out of the deal. So you have to be prepared for that. I can help you with this. Again, just being real with you, not to sell anything. I'm just telling you, we talk about these kinds of conversations in one-on-ones and inside the Growth Collective. So again, join the growthcollective.com. We have a 90-day accelerator program. Congrats to Hussein also for just recently kind of finalizing his decision to be part of that with us. We had a number of other clients recently come in a 90-day accelerator. I'm also working with a husband and wife couple, one-on-one down here. Also another client up in New York, one-on-one. So like, I'm really excited about my one-on-one clients because I get to know you guys. Those of you that are one-on-one clients. Wendy's in the room. I know I've talked to Ginger one-on-one as well. Like, I get to know your stories a lot more intimately than most people would get from not doing it. Like, you just plug it into a course. Like, it's not a course, right? It's not a course, not a training. We have that stuff there too, but a lot of the stuff you need to know is already available for free. I need to know about you. We need to know about you and your story. Where are you lacking? Answering those 4 questions I talk about, which is what are you focusing on right now? Number 1. Number 2, what are your goals for the next 12 months or 6 months or 3 months? Number 3, where are you challenged the most right now in your business or your life? And number 4, how can I help you solve those challenges? So if you get clear about those questions, if you take some of the topics we talked about today about haves and wants, growing your network, applying the open-minded approach to your relationships, being, all ears open, willing to look at, willing to consider, I'm open for feedback, that kind of thing. If I find an expert in a respective space that I could potentially bring value to and partner with, and if I get clear about roles and responsibilities with those people that I'm connecting with, man, then you're on your way to have the benefit of profit passively through partnerships. And again, if you don't have the capacity to bring the capital, don't get hung up on that. Who do I know, not what do I have? Do not get stuck in what I have, get in, as far as capital, think about who do I know that would be interested in this? Does this deal make sense for an investor to do? If so, who can do this with me? Either a direct capital partner, for example, or someone who you bring together through a relationship. And that's how you make it happen. That's how we've made it happen on many deals. Literally, our entire business is premised on collaboration. Our group, the Growth Collective, is premised on collaboration. There's been relationships that have been forged between coaches and clients to clients and coaches to coaches and all kinds of cool stuff. Guest speakers coming in, talking about stuff, people connecting with them, working with them. There's all kinds of cool stuff. But the Growth Collective, again, join thegrowthcollective.com. And the last website again is partner.jdlventures.com. With that being said, I got time for maybe one or two questions if you have them, Wendy or Ginger, and anybody else that wants to bring them up. We got another few minutes here. We'll wrap this up. Any questions, Wendy? You have your hand up before.
Well, my question was, about when you said if somebody, was bringing less than $10,000 of value into your life, that maybe they're not the kind of person you want to be connecting with right now. But how do you determine that? Because maybe they know somebody that you would connect with, and it might be who you need just to get your business taking off or go to the next level, and or they might say something in passing that is going to really spur you on or help you. So how do you make that judgment that just based on my?
It's a great question. I mean, I think it's a little bit artistic, to be honest. It's not something that's like, oh, you got to do this every time, or that you should only, I'm not saying, to be clear, I'm not saying you only focus forever on people that bring more than 10,000 of that. I'm saying to start with the initial priority, you need to be sourcing relationships that have more than some type of number that is, in my mind, at least, 10,000 or more. Like in terms of the life, think about this, the lifetime value. So that means for the rest of my life or the rest of their life, that there's value to my business that's worth at least $10,000. So most people should fit that category if they're in business. The lay folks, regular individuals, friends of mine that I have nothing but love for, I want to see them do well, but they don't have any interest in the business. They don't have any interest in real estate. They are not my priority to source relationships for my business. See, like one of my coaches told me a long time ago, he said, it's not what Doug would do, it's what would the president of JDL Ventures do. That's the decision criteria. So Wendy, whatever your story is for your business, it's like, don't think about Wendy, what she would do by herself, by being just a great friend, a great person to help people that way. It's like, keep those values, but then apply the business principle of the business needs to grow. Wendy's responsible to lead it for growth, and Wendy's responsible to find the people that will help Wendy lead it for growth. And you use a metric to say, what's the value and the benefit of those relationships, to say, who do I talk to first? So if Wendy, in your example, like if you find people that are doing a high number of transactions around you, it's in other words saying, I want Wendy, if I'm Wendy, I need to know those people first before I get to know the people who haven't yet arrived, if you would, because those people are on the same journey I'm on. And if we just ride up together, we're not going to ever necessarily get there faster. We're going to ride at the same time. I need to be courageous and step out of my comfort zone to go reach for the person that's already way ahead of me, that has massive lifetime value to my business, that I can say, if I got this person to hear me and understand why I bring value, I know that this is worth so much more to my business than the relationship of who I love and trust, yes, but who may not be the right suit or right person for my business, because they're not in alignment to the growth potential I have in my mind and what's ahead of me. So that's a very important clarifying point, because a lot of people that I'm in connection with from a young age, they're just not people in my business life that bring the value that I would need to invest in the business relationship with those individuals. I need to be focusing on the network of people that bring value to the business as being the priority for the business. And obviously, if some of that overlaps in my personal life, or those people that also become friends, like I have a few of those that have become friends and like brothers, right, and sisters in life, that's great. But the fact is, I don't need to cannibalize, to be very clear, I'm not cannibalizing my relationships at a personal level to just grow my business, nor am I going to cannibalize my business relationships to grow at a personal level. I need to think about where's the overlap and where's the priority. That's how I look at it. That make a little more sense or not as much?
Yes, it
Hope that
does.
helps.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good stuff. Thank you. All right. Good questions. Great stuff. Ginger, looking forward to taking a look at that deal you have there, whenever you want to shoot it over. If you already have it on, I'm not sure if you already sent it over on Slack, but I'll take a look at that later today. You have that link. And then, yeah, we'll see you guys near next week. That's the plan. Next week, there's a penciled in plan. It's not official, but it's penciled in right now, for a special guest to come in. He happens to be somebody really close to me in my life, someone who has known me my entire life, someone who helped raise me, with my father. Okay, he's gonna come in hopefully next week to talk with us about how he's managing a short-term rental business from over 1,000 miles away, and the structures and frameworks that he's created for that to allow him to have a passive stream of income, semi-passive, I would say. He makes it a little bit more active because he enjoys the communication, but if he wanted to, he knows as well as I do that he could pull himself totally out of that business and make almost as much money passively from it, but he just loves to connect to people. Kind of like, I guess that's how I am too, thanks to him, right? He's led me down that path of connection, but he's gonna be talking about systems and methods of how he's been able to do that from afar, and how you can do the same thing. I'm gonna talk about some of the things we're doing as well in our short-term rental business down here in Florida. But we'll talk about that next week, so pencil it in for next week, and I'll see you guys then. Have a great rest of your day. God bless you guys.